This is one of my favorite lessons because it really gets into what algebra is really about. So the first thing I gave you guys is this little tongue depressor thing.
String.
So everybody has a tongue depressor like this one. And everybody has a red, and we're going to call it blue. Might be purple, I don't really know. Kind of a bluish purple. You have two different pieces of yarn, right? Everybody has that? Everybody follow me so far? On your tongue depressor, there's a little letter. That's going to be your variable. So this little thing is like, your popsicle stick is like your variable. Mine happens to be an A. Yours may be something else. I don't know what it is. But everybody has a variable on theirs. We're going to pretend that the blue string is addition and the red string is multiplication. Okay, so we're just pretending. They represent addition for the blue, multiplication for the red. So in PEMDAS, in order of operations, which one would I need to do first to my variable? Multiplication comes first. So which string is that? Red. So you're going to take your red string, and I want you to wrap it on top of your variable because you're multiplying the variable. So wrap it, try to cover up your variable if you can. Like that. Okay, so you wrapped your red string around it. Everybody do that real quick. Doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to unwind it in a minute, so it's not like a big... We're not making one of those, special arts and crafts projects for your mom or anything like that. Sorry. It's just a demonstration. Okay, so we've multiplied. I've covered up my variable with multiplication. So now I can add because I had to multiply before I could add, right? So now I'm going to cover up the multiplying in the variable with my adding. So it goes on top of the red string. You're going to do the blue string. So it looks like...
Wait, so we cover it on top of the blue, the red string?
Right, so it looks like that. So they're kind of overlapped. Okay, so we've multiplied and we've added. If I was going to go back and try to figure out what the heck that variable was, which one would I have to unwrap first, the red or the blue?
The addition.
The blue. I'd have to unwrap the addition, which is the blue. I can't just unwrap the red one. You might be able to, but it's going to make a mess, right? So if I'm going to unwrap to get to my variable, I have to unwrap addition first. So if you unwrap addition, what do you do when you unwrap addition? What do you think?
Take away.
Subtract, right, take away. So the opposite of addition is take away, minus, subtract, whatever. So you're unwrapping addition, you're going the opposite direction. So unwrap that. And then we can unwrap multiplication. And how would I unwrap multiplication?
Dividing.
By dividing. Okay, so you're going to unwrap, and then you get all the way back down, and you'll have your pretty little variable left all by itself. Okay, so that is just a visual of what you're doing when you solve an equation. Okay, so when I talk about unwrapping steps, this is what I want you to think about. Okay, you're unwrapping something, you're going backwards, and you have to unwrap it in the correct order. You can't unwrap multiplication before you unwrap addition because addition's on top. Okay, does that make sense? You have to unwrap the addition first. Okay, so if you'll just kind of put those to the side, I will pick them up after we finish recording, but don't play with them while we do our notes. I know it's going to be difficult, but please don't. You might want to put them underneath your desk. All right, so we've got your journals. You've got a set of notes, and it's just one page today, so there's not a heck of a lot you're going to have to cut out. So those of you that hate to cut and paste, today's your day. We're not doing a whole lot.
But we're gonna write a lot.
We're going to just work out problems. We're not going to write a ton. We don't have a lot of vocabulary words or anything like that. No.
Do we have a pep rally today?
We do not. Okay, so go to your next page. The first thing I need you to cut out is the little box at the top that says steps to solve the equation. You're going to glue it at the very top of your page.
Even on the title line?
Yeah, you can put it on the title line because that's what we're doing. It's just the steps to solving the equations today. And then under that, you want to cut out problems 1 through 8. You can put those under that. On that same page. We're not going to fit all of them, so we're just going to do 1 through 8 on this page, 9 through 12 on the next page. And that's going to be all our notes today, so it's not going to be super complicated, not a lot to write, but a lot of practicing. Yeah. I think that's good.
9 and
9 through 12 is going to go on the next page. So we'll do those. We'll just do them on the next page. So get 1 through 8 glued down first. Get the little square at the top, how to solve the equation. And get that all set up, and then I'll show you what we're going to do. And I know that most of you in your classes last year did the real basic ones like these, but Ms. Rieper is kind of weird, and I'm going to require you to write something specific beside every equation just in this unit. And then after this unit, you don't have to do it anymore. So once we finish this unit, which our test is next week, I think. Yeah, our test is next week. So once we finish this unit, then you won't have to write these steps that I'm telling you today. But for today, on today's homework, if you don't write them, you will not pass the homework. So you're going to have to pay attention. You need to make sure you take your notes correctly so that you know exactly what to write. You're going to have to do it exactly the way I do it. And there's a method to my madness because I want it stuck in your brain. If you write it every time, it's stuck in your brain pretty fast.
Cutting out,
1 through 8. 1 through 8
Okay.
for that page, and the other ones are going to go on the other page. Okay, so look at the box. The steps to solve an equation. Your first step is always to distribute. We're not going to get to any of them that have anything to distribute on this today. Okay? We're not doing that today. We just learned how to distribute last time. We're not going to put it in solving equations yet. Okay? We're going to learn how to solve equations, then we'll add distributing in a minute. The second step is combining like terms. We're also not going to get to that today. The third step is move all your letters to the left and in front. We're also not going to get to that today. So those first 3 steps we're skipping today. We're doing easier ones. So these are more complicated. We haven't quite got to that yet. All right, so what we're focusing on today are these 2 big steps right here. We're saying what's happening and unwrapping the steps. Those are the 2 things we're really focused on today for your basic 1 and 2 step equations. The words what's happening, beside that write PEMDAS. What's happening is what happened to the variable in the order of operations. What is happening right now. And then you unwrap your steps. And there's kind of a line between those, and I call it the mirror, like a mirror image. It reflects, and you'll see that in just a second. So here's how this works. We're just going to jump right in and practice, and I'm going to show you what you need to write. You have to do it exactly the way I do it, or you get points counted off on every single question. So please do this way. So on number 1, circle the variable. And then your equal sign is your dividing wall. There's 2 sides of that equation. That equal sign is the wall for each side. So draw the wall, the dividing wall. And if you hate doing these steps, just know it's for 1 unit only, and then after this unit, you don't have to do it anymore.
So I need to do this?
Everybody needs to do it just like this. So circle the variable. What is happening to the letter P right now? It's what? It's by itself, but what's happening to it on this side of the equation?
I'm trying to get it. I'm trying to take away the 5.
But what has already happened to it? We do need to take away 5. It's being added to 5 right now. Do you see that on this side?
Explain it. I just know how to write it down.
On this side, it's being added to 5. Do y'all see that? That's what's happening to that letter P. So over here, you're going to write add 5. And you can just put the letter A if you want. Don't put a plus sign and a minus sign, because then they'll start looking like negatives and positives. If you want to use A and S, that's fine. But don't use a plus and a minus. So add 5. That's the only thing that's happening to that letter on that side of the equation, right? So draw your reflecting line, write the number down, and we're going to unwrap addition, which is what we do. Subtract. So write sub 5.
Oh, we had to do this last year.
So this right here, that bottom part that I just boxed in, that's your instruction manual. That tells you what to do on every single equation. Now, it's kind of silly on 1-step equations, because most of those you can look at them and do them in your head. Okay, but do them on these so that you don't get points taken off, because later when they get more complicated, it makes a lot of difference, okay? So these one step, you're kind of like, this is silly. I could figure that out all by myself without writing that. I get that. But in a minute, it's gonna get a little more complicated, and the next time, it's gonna get a little more complicated. So just write the steps, humor me for 1 unit, and then next unit, you don't have to do it anymore. Okay, so we added 5, so it tells us to subtract 5. Go over here and subtract 5. If I do it to this side, an equation, the word equation means to balance things out. So I need to do it to the other side. I can't do something to one side that I don't do to the other side. That's part of the rules of algebra. 5 minus 5 is 0, so those go away. All I have left on this side is the letter P. And 10 minus 5 on this side is 5, so that's my answer.
Wait. Is that an arrow?
Yes.
You wear glasses? Yes. It don't matter how close I get.
Okay, so look at number 2. Circle your letter, circle your variable. Draw your dividing wall. What is happening to R right now in this equation?
It's adding
It's
34.
subtracting 6.
We're on this one, number 2.
Oh.
So it's subtracted by
6.
6.
Sorry.
That's all right, so subtract 6, or you can just put S6 if you want. That's the only thing that's happening. So draw your reflecting line, reflect the number, and I'm saying that now, even though there's only one number. In a minute when there's 2 numbers, you'll see why I say that. But if I unwrap subtraction, what do? Add, so we're gonna add 6. These are your instructions. That tells you what to do. So go over here and add 6. What's a negative 6 plus 6 gonna get you?
They
Cancel out, gets you 0. So let's cancel out to 0. What do I have left over here? Just the R equals, and 10 plus 6 is?
16.
16. Now you guys probably could have looked at that problem and gone, what, minus 6 is 10? It would have to be 16. I understand that. But you're going to do it with these steps because I'm going to count off for the top one, I'm going to count off for the bottom one, I'm going to count off for the answer.
I can't even see that top one.
Subtracts the
No,
sub
like
6.
like above the box on 2, I can't see that. Does it say negative 6 plus 5?
It says plus 6 plus 6. We're adding 6 to both sides. Maybe you should move right up here close. And that way you can see better. Just while we do notes. maybe you can- Okay, so number 3, this is the one that you were saying. So number 3, circle your variable, draw the dividing wall. Now what's happening on this one? Number 3.
M plus 34.
It's added to 34, so we just want to put A 34. And you don't have to write this very big. It can be really tiny up in the corner. It really doesn't take you that long. So if I draw my reflecting line, write my number. To unwrap addition, we are going to subtract, right? So subtract 34 is what I need to do. So once you know that, go over here and subtract 34.
Wait, so the one behind the equal sign is judging or like telling what we need to do? Like it's
The one with the variable tells you what's happening right now, and you need to look at that and decide what you need to do based on that. So 34 minus 34 is 0, so those cancel out. And all you have left on this side is M. Negative 21 and negative 34, they're both negative. So we're going to add them together and keep it negative. So that's going to become negative 55. And I will let you guys use calculators on this homework. Okay, number 4 is a little bit weird. What's weird about number 4?
It's got a parentheses.
It's got these parentheses and it has double signs right here. Do y'all see that? It has a plus and a minus right together. We don't want double symbols. You don't want all that. So we need to clean that up a little bit first. Yes?
Can you find it on this one? Like
Oh, it's right there. Got it. Thank you. Okay, so we don't want double symbols. We don't want the plus and the minus right there, so we need to clean up. How else could I write that?
-8.
Just -8. R -8. Plus a negative is the same as subtraction. So this is R -8 equals -14. So rewrite it like that. Fix it before you solve it. Circle your variable. Draw your dividing wall. Hopefully you'll hear me tonight when you're at home working on your homework. Circle the variable. Like in your head.
nightmares.
Hopefully that will be nightmare. Okay, what's happening to R right now?
It's
It's being subtracted by 8.
Subtracted by 8. So if we reflect that and we need to unwrap it, what are we going to do? Add 8. So once you know what to do, you go over here and add 8. -8 plus 8, those two cancel, which is kind of the goal. You're wanting R to be all by itself. -14 plus 8, they're opposites, so you're going to subtract and keep the sign of the larger, so it's a -6. All right, number 5. Circle the letter. Just the letter, not the -5 with it, just the T. Draw your dividing wall. What is happening to T on this one?
Dividing.
It's being multiplied by what?
5.
-5. So if I reflect that and unwrap it, I'm going to have to divide by -5. So that's your instruction. Divide by -5. And in algebra, we don't use the little dot dot division sign. Okay, that's elementary school. So you're going to do a slash like a fraction and do your -5 under there like that.
Wait, what is it? Oh, this is divide?
Divide by -5. So what's a -5 divided by -5?
1.
1, there we go. Usually people yell out 0 because they're so used to everything canceling to 0. This cancels out to 1. So this is like 1T. Well, you know math people don't like to write the number 1, so they just leave it off. So just put T there.
T.
Wait, where did you get? Oh.
Where did I get what? Okay. And then 60 divided by -5? It's going to be a -12. Good. All right, number 6, we need to fix it first. I have double negatives right here. What's a double negative fixed to?
A positive.
It's positive, so it's going to be y plus 2 equals 6. Circle your variable, draw your dividing wall. What's happening to the variable?
This is.
It's being added to 2. So to unwrap that, you're going to have to subtract 2. So go over here and subtract 2 to both sides.
This is 4. When it says 4 plus 2 equals 6.
It doesn't say 4, but we're solving it to figure out what that is, so it will be 4. It says y plus 2.
Oh,
Show
that
it here.
looks like a 4.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yeah, it will be 4 though. That's kind of ironic.
I have to
The
get
answer will be
this
4.
again.
Alright, so 2 minus 2 is 0. So I get y equals, and 6 minus 2 is 4. That's why I was confused. Sorry. Okay, we got one more one-step problem, and then the two-step ones will make a little more sense with what we're writing over to the side, I think. I think you'll get it more once we are doing two-step. So number 7, circle your variable. Draw your dividing wall. What's happening to that little x?
It's being divided.
It's being divided by
3.
3. Make sure you write your number. Divided by 3. So to unwrap dividing, what are we going to do?
We're going to multiply.
Just for divide, can I just put D?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you can abbreviate like A for addition, S for subtraction, M for multiplication, D for division.
Wait, let me get this straight. So the variable is like the letter?
Yes, the variable is always going to be your letter because it's holding the spot for the number and we're figuring out what number goes there. Okay, so multiplying by 3. Now in algebra, we don't use the little X symbol for multiply because that would be super confusing because then you'd have X and then another X right there. It would be like 2 X's and a 3.
Let's just put a dot.
We're just going to, you can put a dot. I just like to use parentheses. It doesn't really matter. However you want to do it. Just don't use the X. Okay, this confuses a lot of people, but if I have 3 on top with my X and 3 on bottom, a 3 divided by 3 is going to be 1 again. Just like it was in the one above it. -5 over -5. So since I'm multiplying 3 times X to get 3X, then if we divide by 3, it's back to 1. So those do cancel out to 1X. And then -10 times 3 is a -30. Okay, that's all the one step. So we have 5 more questions to do, and these are all going to be 2-step equations. And this is where it gets a little fun, because we get to do, like, it makes a little more sense. So on number 8, circle your variable. Draw your dividing wall. Now, think about order of operations. What is happening to that variable first in order of operations? 2 things are happening. It's being subtracted by 3, it's being multiplied by 2. Which one had to happen first in order of operation? Order of operation. Think PEMDAS. What happens first? Multiply had to happen first, right? So multiplied by 2 had to happen before the subtraction by 3. Think about our wrapping up the thing. So you can write over here to the side, multiplied by 2 is the first thing that happened. And then subtracted by 3 is the second thing that happened. That's what's happening to that variable. That's all that's happening to it though. So now you can do your reflecting line. And here's where it gets a little tricky. You have to reflect those numbers. Do you know what reflect means? Like you flip it the other direction? Okay, so this is going to become the 3. This is going to become the 2. Because the last thing that happened to the variable was subtraction. The first thing you've got to unwrap is what's on top. The subtraction's on top. So how do I unwrap subtraction?
You add.
You add. And then how do I unwrap that multiplication?
Divide.
You divide. So now this is my instruction. I have to do 2 things. And I have to do it in that order. So I'm going to add the 3 first, and then I'm going to divide by 2. So that you have to follow that order. So go over here and add 3. Because that's what it says to do first. 3, -3 plus 3 is 0, but what do I have left over here still? 2y.
Okay, you confuse me when you cancel out, like every single time.
So the -3 and a plus 3 is 0, so just mark them out. So 2y equals 7 plus 3 is
10.
10.
2y.
That's the step. That's the step already. You don't have to check it off, but I'm gonna check it off to show you. Now what am I supposed to do? Divide by 2. And 2 divided by 2 is 1, so that's 1y.
Equals.
And 10 divided by 2 is 5.
Oh,
What that means is if I put 5 up here in this original problem, and I work it out, I will get 7. 2 times 5 is 10, minus 3 does equal 7. You can check your answer pretty quick usually. Okay, you should have 9, 10, 11, and 12 left. So if you want to glue those on the next page, see if we can get a few of these 2-steppers done. same stuff. Okay, so we've got about, I don't know, a little more than 10 minutes, maybe about 13, 14 minutes to get these last 4 done. And then I can turn the video off, and then if you have a little time, y'all can work on your homework. Alright, on this first one, there's technically not a number in front of that X, but what would it be? A 1. So if you want to rewrite this like this, that might make more sense to you. Because that negative sign out in front of that X means a -1. But math people in their laziness are not going to write that 1. So they're not going to give it to you. So you have to know, oh, they're just being lazy. I need to put a 1 there. Okay, so circle your variable. You have to know that there's a 1 there. You don't necessarily have to write it out. But you have to understand that that's what that is. Okay, so circle your variable. What is happening to the X at the moment?
It's being added by 15.
And what else?
Subtracted by 1.
Not subtracted by 1. Multiplied by -1. Okay, so those 2 things are happening. Which one happens first in order of operations? Multiply happens first. So multiplied by -1 first. And then it's added to 15. That's all that's happening to this variable. Yes.
In the last one, number 8,
Yes.
you simply have to subtract it all.
That's what we had to do to unwrap it. But what happened on number 8? If you look at what I said first, what happened to it? It multiplied it first and then it subtracted. So yeah, when we unwrap the steps, we have to go backwards. That's why I'm writing it in the right order to start with, so that we can go backwards from there. That's a good question. Okay, so reflect your numbers. In other words, put them in the opposite order. 15 comes first, -1 comes second. That's because what's on top has to be unwrapped first. So if I tell you to unwrap the steps, that's what I'm talking about. Unwrap them. Go backwards. So to unwrap this adding 15, we're going to subtract. To unwrap the multiplying the -1, we're going to divide by -1.
Does it say D7?
D -1. Okay, so those are your instructions. So first thing you got to do is subtract 15. So subtract 15. 15 minus 15 becomes 0. So you can cross those out. All that I have left on this side is -1x equals, and what's 12 minus 15? -3. I did that step. Now what do I need to do? Divide by a -1. And I'm running out of room, but when I do that, I'm going to get x equals, and a negative divided by negative becomes a positive. So +3. All it does is just change it to positive. Let's see if we can get 2 more of these done, and we won't do number 12. I'm going to mark out 12 you can. Okay, so number 10. Circle the letter. Draw the dividing wall. In order of operations, what's happening to that x?
It's being multiplied.
Multiplied by 4 first, and then added by 9. So it's like the x is your little tongue depressor. It got multiplied by 4, and then added by 9. And so to unwrap those steps, you're going to have to deal with the 9 before you deal with the 4. You're going to subtract your 9, and then divide by 4. See if you can work it out and get an answer without saying it out loud. will freeze frame this and work it out and then show you in just a second. Subtract 9 from both sides first.
I'm getting frustrated because I don't understand it.
Let's get the rest of the notes taken and then maybe I can help you. Okay? So just copy them down for now.
Yeah, I'm copying, but it's not going in my
I
head.
understand, so wait till we get this done and then I'll see if I can help. Okay, so I'm gonna unfreeze mine so you can check yours. If you're not finished, don't look up yet. Or if you want to know the answer, you can go ahead and look. That's what you should have gotten. So when you subtract your 9, you end up with 4x equals negative 12, and then you divide by 4, equal x equals negative 3. Okay? You've got to write these steps over here, because like on your homework, it'll be like 5 points for this, 5 points for this, 5 points for the answer. So if you don't write those 2 steps, you're missing 2/3 of the problem. You'll fail your papers. You'll fail your quizzes. You'll fail your tests. So please, please, please write those steps. Just on this unit. All right, number 11, last one. What is happening to that n right now? Multiplied by negative 2, and then added by positive 9. So you're going to have to go backwards. So the first thing you're going to deal with is the 9, and then you're going to deal with the negative 2. So when I unwrap addition, I'm going to subtract. When I unwrap multiplication, I'm going to divide. That box tells me exactly what to do to solve this equation. So the first thing it tells me to do is go over there and subtract 9. So I'm going to go over to my equation and subtract 9. Which is almost the same as the one right before it. 9 minus 9 is 0, so those cancel out. I'm left with negative 2n here. And a negative 3 minus 9 is a negative 12. That's the first step. So the last step it tells me to do is divide by negative 2. So when you divide by negative 2, you get negative 2 over negative 2 is 1, so 1n. And negative 12 divided by negative 2, negative divided by negative is positive. Positive 6. Okay, that's all the notes. You don't have a ton of time, but you have a little time.